Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Alright, first question. Hello Jason, I am on Rippetoe starting strength 3x5 and sometimes complete a lift while just barely maintaining form. According to SS, I need to add 5 pounds the next workout on that lift. Wouldn't it be better to maybe go 4x5 than 5x5 instead of the 5-pound jump, which may cause form deterioration? No, I don't think you should do that at all, because if you're having to add sets like that to keep form from breaking down, maybe you're done with linear progression or something else is going wrong. And what you need to realize, Rippetoe and all those starting strength guys, they actually have a really good set of resources on their forum. They have a lot of their coaches there, and I think they're probably the best place to go to get advice on their specific program. And I'm not saying that everyone should be running starting strength, but I don't think it's a bad program. It's a very successful program. It's a very good program. And I've seen a lot of noobs make really, really good progress doing it. So I don't really like to knock that program. I know a lot of people out there do. It's popular to knock starting strength, but guys, it's got pretty good results. And I think it's hard to argue with that fact. I've just seen way too many, particularly guys in my age bracket, guys who've only been training a year or so. I met a bunch of guys at my last gym, like 8 middle-aged guys running starting strength, and they were all getting results. And I think it's very hard to argue with that when you meet 7 or 8 guys who are in their 30s, 40s, or 50s who are on this program injury-free, and they're actually getting results. It's hard to argue with that. Right, the proof is in the pudding. No, run the program the way they have it written. Those guys in Ripping them, they have a lot of experience coaching their own program. They probably know more about their program than you do. They definitely know more about their program than I do. So I'm really not going to go in and second guess those guys with running their own program. You should probably stick to what they tell you to do. And if you have questions about it, I know those guys are really active over on their starting strength forum. I think they'll be more than happy to answer your questions for you. So, I mean, let's be honest here. They have a resource there. If you're going to run the program, you bought the book, use it. I actually bought the book. I have a copy of Starting Strength. I think it's actually a really good resource. I may not agree with everything that they do, but, you know, it's a valuable resource, and the book itself is worth a read for everyone who wants to lift. I actually encourage people to actually go buy that book. It's actually pretty good stuff. All right, next question. Hey coach, how would you go about programming 7 to 10 sets of 3 like you're doing now, but training the key lifts twice a week, specifically the squat and the press? Would you just spread the 7 sets out across 2 days? Thanks. You know, honestly, I think you need more than the squat and the press. If you were going to run something similar to what I was doing, which is basically a squat day, deadlift day, bench press day, an overhead press day with a little bit of accessory work. Actually, I'm not even doing it that way anymore. I'm doing concurrent training. Like I actually build to a max triple every other week on each lift instead of doing the volume triples. And then I actually have one day to, my deadlift day is actually a squat day now. Also, I build to a max triple squat, and then I build to a max triple deadlift afterwards. And I use power cleans and rows for accessories later in the week to keep my deadlift strength up. But if you were going to run a phase like this, here's what I would do. No, you need to go ahead and run at least your 7 sets of 3. You need the exercise mastery. You need the skill training on these exercises. So you need that volume stacked into each day. If you wanted to put a heavier focus on the squat and the press, I might do them afterwards on different days. Like maybe have a second squat day and then do that before you're deadlifting. And you could do it that way, or you could do some lower volume squatting after you deadlift, and then maybe on your other benching day or other pressing day, do the overhead press as an accessory behind it. Like do, you know, 3 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 3 after your other pressing. And that way you're still getting each of those lifts twice a week for extra volume, but you are getting some other lifts in, because I think you need more than the squat and the press, even on a minimalist program. I mean, they're good exercises to base it on, but I wouldn't put a heavy focus on both of them each twice a week. You need some other exercise variety. You can put a secondary focus on them on a second day each, and I think that would be a lot better. I think you'll be better off for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I could see myself eventually rotating some push presses in behind my my floor press day, because I'm doing the floor press right now instead of the flat bench. Just because I feel that it's a better, for me, I feel it's a better overall upper body developer, only because I'm capable of touching my chest on the floor press, or at least getting within an inch of it, depending on where I space my hands. So, again, there's different ways to go about doing that, but I would do them as secondary exercises on 2 of your other days, rather than have 2 full days of 7 to 10 triples on each of those lifts. All right, next question. I drink a lot of water and eat large volumes of food, so I find myself getting up multiple times at night to go to the bathroom. Is this reducing my sleep quality, or because my body is waking up to go, it shouldn't really count as an interruption? Thanks, coach. As long as you go back to sleep immediately, it's fine. Here's what's going to mess up your sleep pattern. Checking your phone, checking your computer, looking at a computer screen, turning on a bunch of lights. That's where you're going to run into problems with sleep interruption, disruption of melatonin production, things like that. If you get up to pee in a dim room, maybe just the bathroom light, you pee real quick and then hop back in bed and you're back to sleep within 5 minutes, and you are dreaming again, you're going right back into your REM cycles and you'll be perfectly fine. Again, this is not a problem. It's the problem we run into is when you get up and your sleep is interrupted to do other activities that re-wake you back up, and they break up your REM cycles more. But again, as long as it's relatively quick and you are back to sleep within 5 minutes of waking up and you avoid exposing yourself to too much light, I don't think it's a problem. Don't worry about it. All right, next question. Hey, coach. I've been deadlifting 4 times a week for a few months now, switching from conventional off the floor to deficit deadlifts every other session. I've been getting much stronger and proficient with the deadlift, but what happens when I go back to only twice a week deadlifting? Do I have to maintain this frequency to continue to progress now that I'm already doing it? Thanks. No, you don't have to do that at all. That's not going to be a problem. Look, higher frequency training for keeping skills up, getting more volume in, you can't always do it forever. You're going to have a threshold to where you have to back down. And you know what? You will make probably slightly slower progress on twice a week, or even deadlifting 1 day a week. You'll make slower progress, but you're still going to be able to make progress as long as you program everything correctly. You're reaching your minimum effective training volume. You're getting enough nutrition. You're getting enough sleep. You're programming correctly. You're going to still continue to make gains on the deadlift, and you're going to continue to gain muscle in the muscles involved in the deadlift. All right, it's that simple. It just might not be quite as fast as the progress you have been making, but you're still going to be capable of making progress. People get these ideas in their head that, oh man, if I've done really high frequency training or really high volume training or anything else, that I won't be able to continue to progress when I quit doing it. That's not how it works. And the only reason people get these ideas is because the more advanced we get, the slower you progress anyway. So sometimes when you change a major variable like that, it feels like, oh man, I'm making really slow progress now. It must be because I removed that variable. And no, it's just because you made a lot of progress in a fairly short period of time, got more advanced, and then your progress is going to slow a little bit no matter what. We get diminished returns in training. That's just the nature of the beast. All right, next question. Hey Jason, longtime fan, appreciate all the messages you send out. I lift full body 3 times a week in the morning and try to fit in running 2 to 3 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes. Is it better to run on the evenings and nights of the lifting days, or following rest days in between where strength for the next day is a primary focus? You know what? Honestly, I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference to matter. As long as you're not interfering with your recovery, the extra running isn't cutting into your calories too much. Honestly, man, 30 to 45 minutes of running a couple times a week really isn't anything. I think you're way overthinking it. Now, in a perfect world, if you were only going to lift 3 days a week and only going to do cardio 3 days a week, if that's the extent of what you're doing, I would put them on separate days. It might make 0.1% difference as far as your overall strength training progress. But if you're a recreational enthusiast and you're not saying, okay, I'm trying to set a squat record in my weight class at nationals or something to that effect, I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference to matter in the grand scheme of things. It really isn't. I think you're way overthinking it. just get out and get your running in. All I would say is, though, between your lifting and your running, make sure that you get some carbs in and get some rest in. As long as you're doing that, as long as there's some sort of napping, carbs and protein in between the two, I don't think it's going to matter in any way significantly. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.